said,
Hold on a second, please.
Okay. I muted myself so they can't hear me. Sorry.
yo,
Yanni. Hey, this me, Sammy. Can you hear me?
No. His mic is muted. Texting, calling.
mine is not muted.
Oh, Okay, we can hear you now.
What they're gonna postpone it, I bet you, because we don't have the lawyer there.
They're hearing you.
I don't care. I don't care if they hear me. That's what I think.
Sammy, I really hope not. I just couldn't be any more
You don't-
disappointed with the situation. I just can't imagine.
You don't need an attorney here. Mr. Hayes can either represent you as an individual, or I'm happy to do so.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, he's the man, whatever he wants to do. They're both the man.
Well, if you guys want to discuss anything further, let's keep
No.
it text messages because they'll
So, hey,
report the
come
calls.
on, no, hey, just go back on mute. We're good. But thank you very much.
Can everybody hear me?
Yes. Yes.
We're gonna record this.
Okay, Johnny, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Hold on 1 second.
My man, Danny Gargan. When at Belmont, Saratoga, that's a big deal. Tons of fun. Hey, Sammy, how about
Yeah.
Brewster having the fastest turf horse in the country? Asmussen says, well, he ran 5.5 furlongs faster than a fast one can go 5 furlongs. Oh, well, that's a heck of a statement.
Yeah. I told him yesterday he gonna let me breed a quarter horse mare to him. He says you can breed whatever you want. Just bring her. Yeah, he called yesterday.
I walked over with them and I sat in the owner's box and they come across the line and I knew that Mystic Dan had won because I'm number 12, right there. Clark and the Japanese guys were right there on the finish line. Okay. And I knew that my friends from Arkansas had won. And then it was just like Wild World of Sports. They come walking down through there and them guys are crying. And I was like, here I am watching the Derby with one friend, and my other friends from Arkansas just won the Kentucky Derby with the horse they bred themselves. It's like, I must be the luckiest guy on earth.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was kind of like when Dr. Block and Chip won the Kentucky Derby. That was really fun too.
Yeah. More time go by.
And then they go make a movie that I'm not. And hey, every time there's a new scene, the guy comes. Oh, I drink beer with that guy. I hang out with that guy. I play golf with him. I never had seen another movies. I just know all the characters. That's kind of fun. I miss Rudoso. I tell you, I miss it big time.
Oh yeah. Have you seen the barn that Brewster built?
Yes.
Man, that's
Looks like those from the Yellowstone show.
yeah.
That old, Sammy's got an apartment in there, and
Upstairs, yeah.
He does in his arena too.
yeah, we got they got the well, but Debbie
We got-
decided, when they decided to go to Saratoga 10 years ago, she decided she didn't want to cut anymore. So
Yeah.
they have that huge arena, and you know what? The biggest use for it now is I go turn my cats out. I take the cats out there and let them chase mice.
Okay, Jeff, can you hear me? Jeff?
Yes.
Okay, you're ready, whenever you're ready to record.
Does he say we're ready to record?
You ready, Larry?
Yes, I'm ready.
Okay.
Well, give me 1 second. The recording has started.
Okay. All right, then. Good afternoon, everybody. So we are bringing today is June 10th, 2024. It's approximately about 11:14. We are bringing this hearing on a continuance for Mr. Samuel Valdivia. And actually, I want the people to say their name and how their license is present. My name is Larry Fontenot Jr., State Steward.
Violet Smith, State Steward.
Jeff Waxler, State Steward.
John
Sammy
Mack Hayes.
Valdivia, horse trainer.
Rhonda Valdivia, spouse.
I'm representative for Valdivia.
Say your name, please.
I'm John Mack Hayes,
Okay.
Hayes.
Okay, I'd like to know where Mr. Morrison is.
Yes, like I told you before, Judge, I think we got this notice on Thursday or Friday, and he had a preliminary hearing in a court jury trial that's been scheduled for a month, and he's not gonna be able to get out of that.
Okay, one other thing I want to do, Mr. Valdivia, who is your lawyer that you are retaining?
John, I retain 2 lawyers.
Okay,
John Hayes
What's Morrison.
and Mr.
Travis.
Morrison.
and Mr.
Yeah.
Morrison.
Yeah.
Okay,
Excuse me, I should probably make sure you know that I'm here as well.
please mute. Is Mix Alexander going to be a witness for anybody?
Well, it's a public meeting, I'm allowed
Hold
to.
on a
so-
second. Is Miss Alexander going to be a witness for anybody, Mr. Johnny McHayes?
No, sir.
Okay, Jeff, will you please mute her because we will not have any comments by her.
I think she was just announcing their presence at the
Right,
public hearing.
We do not want any comments from her, so we need to get her muted, and we will not have any from her. So, there we go. Okay, so I just want whoever's gonna be testimony, please raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth?
Yeah.
Yes, I do.
Okay. So I just want to say you guys been represented, you've been given proper notice in this hearing.
We received the notice on Thursday or Friday. Yes, sir.
Have you been properly noticed is what I'm asking.
Well, not really, but I'll waive it because
Okay.
I've read the notice that was issued in connection with our last hearing.
Okay, so I'm gonna go on with this. All right, I'm gonna explain our hearing is quasi judicial in nature. We are not bound by the technical rules or procedure and evidence. So the next thing I have is Mr. Valdivia. You say you did hire Mr. Morrison. We have not received anything from Mr. Morrison on that he would not be here today because he is the main lawyer that is licensed in the state of New Mexico. We have not received anything. Mr. Hayes, have you filed for the Full visa?
Let me address the other thing first. I'm not sure when the notice was issued, but I think it was Thursday or Friday. And when a lawyer like Travis, like myself, when you work in litigation, you have court trials, they schedule evidentiary hearings in advance, just like you schedule, Larry, just like you scheduled this hearing in advance, so that so that we can be prepared to know that we're gonna have a trial on that day. Well, Travis is known for a month, and on June 10th, he had to be in a preliminary hearing today. So there was no way that he was gonna be able to be present today. And I would just urge to serve because of the time-sensitive nature of the issues. His presence isn't necessary for me to act as representative for one thing, but more importantly, a judge, we could complete the evidence and have Mr. Valdivia have an opportunity to have the summary suspension lifted. If we weren't able to go forward, if you determine we couldn't go forward because Travis is obligated to something else, it just puts Sammy in the same spot as he was when I objected to continuance last time. And just as a matter of fairness, we need to be able to be heard. And then, we need to be able to address that point that was brought up in the last hearing about ruling history. Because when Pinky and I had that discussion about
I'm going to.
we had the discussion on the record about a new notice, and the idea was that one of the new reasons for summary suspension was ruling history. And I talked about at length on the record about how, if
Mr. Hayes, I don't mean to interrupt, but I need to interrupt here. Number one, you were asked a question by Steward Fontenot. It was a yes or no question, I believe. So if you could answer that, we'd appreciate it. And then I need to address one other thing. So did you file the Pro Hoc VC like he asked?
No, I have not.
Okay, now my other question that I have, when we did the last hearing, I specifically remember before we closed that hearing that we scheduled this hearing at 11 o'clock with you at that time, with you and Mr. Morrison was on the computer, and we all agreed on this date and this time. Is that not correct?
I don't recall that at all. And I don't recall that announcement, and I certainly don't recall Travis stipulating to be able to be present on June 10th, because he never would have done that. He's got a preliminary hearing today, Pinky. He can't be here today.
Well, I understand that, but I am saying that when we had the hearing the other day, we scheduled it for this time and this date before we left, and then we sent the paperwork. So I know that I know that it was scheduled. Anyway, that's all I have to say.
Okay, well, I don't recall that on the record, and I can sure miss stuff, but scheduling is not one of them.
Okay, I'm sorry, Mr. Hayes.
I'm sorry,
gonna-
you gotta talk over
I'm
me?
going to interrupt for a second.
Why would you
Because
do that? That's
something
not
else needs to
proper
be
on the record.
clarified here. A notice was sent out on May 31st. Mr. Morrison received that on the 31st. So you were
Hey,
notified of this meeting.
Yeah, Jeff, that man over there in the hat is a world-class horse trainer who prepared 20 or more head to go to Ruidoso, and he's not been able to work, and he's not been able to get a fair hearing, okay? And we're talking about whether or not Marston can be here because he's got to be at court. Sir,
Well,
there's three.
does he get a fair hearing if you haven't filed the Pro Hoc VC?
As I said last time, sir, if I had no idea when we filed this is still, according to your notice, we're still here on the summary suspension hearing. We are. And from the first day that I stated that the length of time it would take to do a Pro Hoc, it's come to fruition. I mean, it would have taken at least 6 weeks. There's going to be almost a time where I could have got there, but we're still on summary suspension. And we're still at a point in the past where I have not been required to seek Pro Hoc admission until we get to the hearing officer stage. There is one exception. In the Trey Wood case in 2019 or somewhere in there, I got Pro Hoc admitted. before the steward's hearing. But generally, it's been only for the stuff in Albuquerque and more particularly, sir, these emergency type hearings like this one still is. It's not practical for me to be able to get licensed in that period of time. Like in this instance, if I had, it's been, the situation's been fluid throughout. If I would have known that, well, there was going to be a merit hearing on X date, then I could have applied and had a chance to get it granted. Now, I couldn't have done it between the time that I was retained and the time we had that last hearing. But here to there, we're here today on summary suspension again, according to the notice. And so we're in that same position where the constitutional deprivation is ongoing. He hasn't completed the summary suspension hearing that he has a right to have. And I respectfully urge that we could finish it pretty quick because most of the evidence is stipulated at this point.
I don't think this is a
But
summary
I mean, to
suspension.
abandon the case because Travis can't be here because he had a litigation obligation, that would go back to the deal about the man being able to have counsel. And there's within a 500-mile radius, there's 3 or 4 lawyers who know the sport and know the law and could represent him. And I was the only one that he could hire. We need to put the emphasis on the right.
Okay, I'm going to interrupt here for a second. So the first initial summary suspension, he was noticed on 5/9. And then we had a summary pending outcome of summary suspension hearing. He was effectively suspended then. We had a summary suspension hearing on 5/19. And he was told that he will stay, hold on, do not interrupt me. That he would stay summary suspended until we had this, so it got continued. So from here on, this is what we're going to do here. Mr. Valdivia, do you want to continue without your lawyer that you hired?
What Larry, what do you?
Hold on, I'm not asking, I'm
you
asking Mr.
can't-
Valdivia.
no, sir, you can't just address
Do you want to continue without Mr. Morrison is what I'm asking you. Mr. Valdivia. I can't hear you, you're muted.
Sorry. Okay.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. You hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. My name is Valdivia.
Okay.
Not Valdivia. I'm not going to call
All right.
you Fanta this, Fanta not. No, sir. Your name is Fontenot. My name is
I'm not trying to disrespect you, so don't do it this way. I'm not trying to
No, sir. I'm
disrespect
just
you, so
correcting.
we're not going to go to that point.
I'm
So
gonna
please
correct.
move on.
Yes.
Do you want to continue without your lawyer?
No, I need my lawyer.
Okay, that's all. So right now we're going to take a 5-minute recess. It is now 11:26, and go ahead and pause the recording, Jeff.
Hang
Thank
on
you.
just a minute before, wait. Don't pause yet. Can everybody hear me?
Mhm.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes,
I
ma'am.
just want to clarify something. When we sent this notice out, it says that this notice were for the outcome of his continued disciplinary hearing scheduled Monday, June 10th. This is not a continuance of a summary suspension hearing. That's just clarification for, this hearing this morning. So
Okay.
I think Mr. Hayes misspoke when he said this was a continuance of a summary suspension. Okay?
Okay, let's do a pause and we'll take a recess for about 5 to 10 minutes.
Thank you, sir.
Can everybody hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. We're just waiting for the recording to go back.
Okay.
Okay. Are we recording?
Yes.
Okay. So I just want to stipulate and put this out there to Mr. Samuel. Do you or do you not want to move forward with your lawyer, Mr. Hayes?
Oh, yes, sir.
I mean, no, Mr. Morrison. Do you want to move forward or you do not want to move forward with your lawyer, Mr. Morrison, on this case?
I guess go ahead and answer.
Yes, yes,
You want to move forward?
yes,
Okay, in this circumstance now, do you want to move forward with Mr. Johnny Mack being a representative?
yes, sir.
Okay, all right, so we can go ahead and continue this case then.
Thank you, sir.
I'm just showing on record.
Yes,
Okay, so everybody got sworn in and everything, quasi judicial. So you do have, you're moving on without your legal counsel representation because you said you wanted to move on with this without Mr. Morrison. It is stated and on record.
yes, I got two of them. One
So-
can do the job today.
The other one is a representative. So we're going to move on from this. So Mr. Hayes, so last time we were here in this hearing, you said you did not understand the charges that was against him or what we were having this hearing about. Have you looked at it?
The new notice?
Yes.
Yes, sir. Here's what I concluded.
Okay.
From the hearing the other day, when if you'll recall, a presiding steward was kind enough to lay out the reasons for the rule violation before we started. And then when we got to the part about ruling history, okay, Pinky and I had a 15-minute discussion on this idea that my concern was that I understood her to mean ruling history to be ARCI. I understood her to mean ruling history to be his history of state adverse action against him. And that's why, and then I even suggested that, well, in order for that to be one of the reasons, it'd have to be, something would have to be crafted. Notice-wise, he'd have to tell us, well, he had this violation on this date and this violation on this date. I mean, something simple like that. Okay, now, that didn't, and that was my understanding when we went back and forth, that this history of state discipline was going to be one of the reasons. And when I got the new notice, I realized that I must have completely misunderstood that, because my reading of the notice is that the reference to ruling history just means that a failure to disclose. It has everything to do with the failure to disclose the Remington Park scenario. And it doesn't have anything to do with some kind of independent review of his ARCI state history of adverse action or whatever. Now, that's so important because we misunderstood each other. I went back and looked at it, and but after looking at the notice, I'm convinced, but I certainly want to confirm that with you in advance. I'm convinced that the notice does not have any indication that the stewards are relying on his ARCI as a reason for the license denial. And I think that I'm right, but I want to confirm that before we start. And forgive me for belaboring it, but if you will remember when we were on the record last time, my concern was, well, the state would have to put on some kind of evidence of why they believe that his ARCI record is for some reason bad, so that I could have an opportunity to confront the evidence and show why it's good. And now, it was that not only after reading the notice that I realized it wasn't there, but then I came around to the idea that it couldn't possibly be ruling history, because I just know from being around the sport, you compare similarly situated horse trainers, similarly situated non-Hispanic horse trainers who are out there right now, who are training, whose ARCI record will have more adverse action on it for medication violations than Valdivia does. And so I wasn't thinking about that the other day, and that it couldn't possibly be the actual ARCI ruling history. But so important, Larry, I wanted to get that straightened up before we start so that I know. And then if that's the case, now we're only dealing with wrongdoing with regard to the failure to disclose the Remington Park matter. And then that gets us right back to racing jurisdiction and association and what have you. So that, sir, and I believe that would provide an orderly hearing if we just confirmed that the issues are the failure to disclose and not something that's actually within the ARCI record. And thank you for your time, then, sir.
Okay. So to go from there, part of the application thing, he had failure to disclose his Indiana being kicked off the Indiana horseshoe and Remington Park, which you guys brought up Remington Park. You brought that. He did not disclose either one of them. And at the time that he did his license, he was still, how can I put it, 86 from them two tracks,
It's on that application.
which they did not put down Remington, that he was excluded from Remington. It said rule about it, please. Mr. Hayes, I need to ask you a favor. Mr. Samuel's wife is a witness, or will you please keep her from interrupting us, please?
Yeah, Ron, you need to let Larry finish speaking. And then we're gonna, he and I are gonna address, it's, Larry, we all recognize the dispute on the terms that us and they have, and Larry understands it. And today, we'll have a chance to finalize the argument on evidence.
It's on that application, Johnny.
I
It's on that
know,
application.
but
Please,
Larry and
Mr.
I
Hayes.
understand each other. Let's
Mr.
do an
Hayes,
orderly hearing.
Did they block you?
Thank you, sir. Thank
are you there?
you. Yes, sir, if you want to continue.
Okay,
I
go ahead,
appreciate
and
caution.
you go ahead and continue.
Well, I mean, I appreciate your cautionary statement. Rhonda won't,
Okay. Either one of them until they're asked or whatever, if they would please. Let's just keep this orderly as much as possible, because that's all right. So as I go to the application, which we have done plenty of times before, let me get back onto the thing. I'm trying to get back to it. Sorry about that. Which we have received a letter, and actually Jeff can share it with you, which they should have their exclusion letter from Remington Park. Or are you guys in possession of that, or have you seen it?
we've never been, as I indicated throughout the hearing, Sammy has never received any written notice of exclusion in Remington Park, and he's
Okay.
never been provided any verbal explanation for why he's excluded.
Okay, so what I'm gonna do is, Jeff, if you would, do you want Jeff to email that over to you?
I can share.
I don't know.
Or he can
about
share it, he can share it on the screen, let him share it on the screen. If that's all right with you.
What is it?
It is actually his exclusion letter from Remington Park.
Is it signed by Matt Vance?
They just sent it over to us,
Hold on, let me look.
just like we got the exclusion letter reinstating him from Horseshoe Grand. We got that from you guys, and this was sent to us from Remington Park.
Okay, and if Matt Vance, the general manager of Remington Park, if he's the signature on that letter, then I'll have Matt will be my witness then. Okay.
Jeff's
I mean,
gonna-
I did-
Jeff's
I didn't
gonna
know
share
until
it.
just now. Obviously, I
Jeff's
didn't know
gonna
until
share
just
it.
now
Well,
Matt.
in our last hearing that we had, that Mr. Valdivia, I asked him if he was excluded from anywhere, and he said anywhere else. He said no. And then you jumped in and said, yes, Remington Park, and then he agreed. That is on record.
Yeah, he
So-
didn't understand. Larry, you tricked him, okay? He didn't
No.
understand what you meant, so that's not fair for you to say that.
That's pretty
You know,
straight up. If you ever been
you
excluded from any other place,
Questions.
I mean, that's pretty straight up. But
Larry?
we're moving on from there. We're
Okay.
moving on from there.
Okay.
And that's how this all came up. And you guys actually brought up the Remington park exclusion, and Jeff's going to share this with you guys.
Bring it up. That's the question. You asked a question, Your Honor, that was different than the application. You brought it up. I didn't bring it up.
I
That's not
said,
fair
was
for
he
you to
excluded?
say.
Okay, I'm not gonna argue about it, but it was not exposed on his application. So Jeff,
I'll
are you able to
stipulate
share
that.
that? Jeff, are you able to share that?
You see it?
Can I talk?
Yes,
No, not right now.
What?
We never had
yes,
that.
we
I
can
never
see
had
it.
that.
This is the only thing you have. This is the only thing ever been received.
This chapel
Remington
was
Park?
Mike.
Yes, from Remington Park. It says
Is
it
the
very
chap-
plainly, Remington
There's
Park.
no
So you
signature on
had,
this document.
There was
Yeah.
no signature on the Indiana
No.
one either that's saying they are allowed back. So we're letting that go in there. Just want to go in and you get a feel on that. That's fine.
There's no signature on this document. It is not admissible evidence. And if you want to, I would stipulate to its admission if I could just get Mike Chappell, the head of security, or Matt Vance, the general manager, to testify.
Okay,
That's fine.
1 second. Jeff, do you have a copy of from Indiana where they saying they are allowed back on the track? Do you have a copy of that, Jeff?
yes.
Exhibit 1, Jeff. Exhibit 1. You have it. You've had it for several weeks.
Yes.
Exhibit 1.
And is there a signature at the bottom of that?
Yes.
The one that we have, Jeff?
That's a court order,
Hold on.
Larry. That's an
Okay.
order from an administrative
just-
agency.
We
Okay?
will take that, we will
I mean,
take that
it's
under
valid.
advisement. So let's just go ahead and move along. We will take that under advisement. Let's go ahead and move along. So
God, it's so
the whole
fair,
thing
Larry.
on this, is on the thing, was there something pending by associate, right on the license application? And he did not put down Remington Park or Indiana. He did not put that on his license.
They don't say in the
application.
application.
We'll
They don't say in the
stipulate it.
So,
But Larry, you've already
so
dropped
you understand,
Indiana.
you understand the rules, and we do look at the ruling history of people when they do apply for a license, and actually that part there got overlooked. So we will move on from there. Pinky or Jeff, do you guys have anything you want to say?
I do not.
Show me the application for New Mexico.
No, I do not.
Okay,
Okay,
so we
Larry.
can, so we can move on from there.
All right. It's shocking, absolutely shocking that the board has now returned to the Indiana thing when Pinky on the record dropped that a month ago when we had the first hearing, dropped it. You tried to bring it back at the second hearing, but then you got rid of it again. And now here we are again, and you're bringing back Indiana. I don't know.
I am
other
actually
than-
going to read right from the license application. It says, has your
Please, sir.
license ever been suspended, denied,
Please,
revoked
sir.
from any or pending against you in racing jurisdiction? He wrote down Oklahoma, clenbuterol, 22, drug violation, Oklahoma, previous on file. Did not put Indiana or being
That's it.
executed. So that is right there on our
Indiana
paperwork.
was not a jurisdiction.
No,
Indiana was a casino.
Okay, so we will take all that under advisement. Do you want to, Mr. Hayes, do you want to present any more?
Johnny, get it done. Get it done. We need to move forward. They asked me if I talked to Randy Smith. No, I have talked to Bobby Martinez and his lawyer. We need to move forward into a second thing. This is not right. You know what? On your application, right there, I said, yes, trying it. Okay, second, Oklahoma. They don't say nothing about jurisdiction.
yeah.
You
it's
need to learn-
jurisdiction, not a racetrack.
Yeah, not in New Mexico. You ask about that, but you don't ask about any other places. So let's go forward. Come on, let's go to a real court.
Okay, we will take that under advisement. Mr. Hayes, do you have anything else?
Johnny, let's sue these people.
It's-
Let's go.
it
Mr.
goes
Hayes,
back-
Mr.
goes
Hayes,
back.
do you have anything else?
They already made their mind what they're gonna do.
Please do not interrupt, Mr. Hayes.
Yeah, this goes back to before the first, I'm sorry, this goes back to the second hearing when the presiding steward was kind enough to go down through and number line by line, define what the allegations of rule violation were.
They
And
ruined my
so
life.
now
I
we're
have
back.
60 horses. I'm done.
Mr. Hayes, please.
I won't be able to help you if you don't, just mute it, okay? That way you don't have to be tempted. So we're back there today on this, we never concluded, if this last hearing was a merit hearing, we never concluded it. And we're now back to the same scenario where we've got to define for this hearing what the precise alleged rule violations are. All right. Now, I now have these three. Did not disclose Indiana exclusion. Did not disclose Remington exclusion. And forgive me, I'm not trying to, Larry, I'm not mocking you. For the record, you said that we always consider ARCI ruling history, and you led me to believe that unlike what I said before, that ARCI ruling is in fact something that you're going to bring about today as a reason. Am I correct?
Well, when we give a license out, we look at all ruling histories on everything. And actually this came before us on this history and everything. But main things we're going right now, which it is covered in all your hearing notices, every part of it, which Pinky explained to you and read the rules out to you. And I'm sure you looked them all up and everything, which now you said you understand it. So in that fact there, I mean, if you have anything else to go with, you want to make a closing statement, we can move on from there. And
No, sir, I wasn't finished with my presentation. You
okay,
just cut me
all
off.
right.
You
No, that's
clearly
fine. You go ahead and
I'm
finish.
gonna
That's fine.
break for about 30 seconds.
In the meantime, can I say something?
I would, if you could please hold it, please.
I want to say something.
As I was saying before Mr. Fontenot spoke, we've got to define, if we're having a merit hearing or even, continued summary suspension, one thing we have to do in common is define exactly what the alleged rule violations are. And, in this instance, it would be, what are the reasons that support summary suspension, or what are the reasons that support a rule violation arising from the manner in which he filled out the application. Now, it's just super important, because I now have three allegations of wrongdoing. Did not disclose Indy, did not disclose Remington Park, and I guess further review of his ARCI history, the board determined warranted some kind of denial. Am I accurate on that, Larry?
That's what I'm trying to do.
You can say that again. I'm sorry, you broke up a little bit on me. Sorry about that.
On that last reason for summary suspension and or rule violation, is that reason that your board is critical of items that appear on his ARCI state history of adverse action?
What I'm stating, which is in the notice, is all the rules that we are looking at, and we go by for licensing. So hold on one second. Everything's in the notice. Everything's in the notice, and I don't know if Pinky wants to cut in on this or not. But the second hearing that we had, we already had a summary suspension hearing. If I'm correct or not, Pinky.
Yes, you are correct in that matter, and what we're addressing here, we did determine in the summary suspension hearing, if I'm correct, that Indiana did not give him any notification, and they're the ones that said it was a withdrawal and not a denial. So we did dismiss that part. The other part we're addressing is the ruling history. That's the part that Mr. Hayes is not understanding, if I'm listening correctly. And the ruling history and falsification of his license, he didn't put down everything when you said about the Oklahoma. That's the only thing that I'm, the exclusions and the, which Oklahoma, as you stated, to his own admission, said he was excluded in Oklahoma, and that was not listed on the license application. And it came out in the hearing.
Right.
Can I talk?
Please, please.
I know I'm a witness.
Only, ma'am, can I
Okay.
ma'am?
She can talk,
ma'am,
but she's not white.
there-
And she's like my lawyer. So
Okay.
what right Johnny got, she got the right to. She is my wife, and she knows about everything more than I do. So she
Okay,
gets-
well, Mr. Hayes needs to call her as a witness in order for her to speak. If she's your lawyer, then that's
No,
who
I'm
you
not a
should have
lawyer.
had.
She's not a lawyer, but she's like, she's a wife. And she's gonna talk. She's gonna talk.
Pinky, I'm sorry about the interruption. I think I understand, Madam Stewart, from your words. And let's make sure we have meeting in the minds on this, because I think I'm back to the other place. I understand your description to me that the allegation of wrongdoing is quite simply the failure to disclose the Remington matter when asked about history of rulings. And Pinky,
I'm sorry, Mr. Hayes, I said all ruling history, which was on the notice. That exclusion came out in the hearing, the summary suspension hearing, when Mr. Fontenot asked the question about any other exclusions. That's all I'm stating. That was a fact in the hearing.
okay, well,
But his
here's what I-
ruling history is what we're looking at here.
did you rely on, Pinky, was there any part of the charges that rely on a independent review of his ARCI record?
I don't know how to answer that. When the original notice said all ruling history. So all ruling history is his ARCI ruling history, racing history. That's what we look at in order to issue a license. And
Johnny, that
And
is the
then-
2022.
that's all I understand it to be.
Okay.
And,
Oh.
and,
It-
and the exclusions that came out in the other hearing. And then I think he has one from a casino or something too, if I'm correct. Is that correct? Mr. Fontenot, doesn't he
Yeah,
have
that would be from Indiana Horseshoe.
Yeah.
Caesar's
whatever.
Caesar's
Caesar's,
Entertainment?
yeah, Caesar's Entertainment,
Does it
which
feel
at the
like
time,
we're-
which at the time, he was excluded there at the time of his application.
It seems. it
No,
feels
I was
like-
not.
No, he was not.
No,
Okay.
no.
Rhonda, please, Sammy,
Yeah.
mute the damn thing so I can handle the case. I won't be able to get anything done, okay? Please.
All right.
Now, Pinky, we're getting somewhere now. Because once and for all, now you're saying that you did in fact rely on his ARCI. And that is a part of the reason for having this hearing and denying the renewal of the license.
Well, it was part of the equation. Part of the equation was all ruling history. And initially, the denial, which came up from Indiana, that was why the original summary suspension was issued in the first place.
I understand, but we're going backwards on that. See, if you'll recall, Pinky, you sat there on the record and said that Indiana's out. And now all of a
I
sudden, Larry's-
agree. I understand that was determined in the summary suspension hearing that was they sent a letter that said it was a withdrawal and not a denial. So that part,
why-
in
why-
my opinion, I think we based that part was excluded, but the ruling history is still in place that he didn't put on his application.
Okay, thank you very much, madam. Now that's completely opposite of what Larry said when he announced this hearing, because he gave 3 reasons and one of them was failure to disclose Indiana. So
I was
before we
going
get
back
started-
from the beginning, starting from the beginning, how we got to this point is what I was doing.
Okay, all right,
Okay.
thank you, sir. Then-
All right,
then we
that's
make-
what I
then
was
let's make
doing.
sure that- Let's make sure let's clarify then. Let's make sure that we know going forward right now, let's list every single thing that is the allegation of wrongdoing, and I think I have them. Number 1 is failure to disclose Remington. And number 2, I'm presuming it is board's independent review of this man's ARCI record.
Yes.
Okay. Now, can you tell me, sir, what is and here's when I made those opening comments. I don't want to mention anybody's name because it just wouldn't be proper. I can just say that I'm aware of numerous other New Mexico licenses that are on that racetrack, licensees that are on the racetrack right now and hold valid licenses. And if you were to lay that man or woman's ARCI record next to Mr. Valdivia's, you would find more medication violations on many other people records than you would Mr. Valdivia. So, and more particularly, I would suggest that there's some white guys out there. Okay, there's some non-Hispanic horse trainers who will have an ARCI record that is much more spotted than Sammy's is. And so I know just from being a lawyer that, your state's not going to be disparately treating Mr. Valdivia just because he's a Hispanic. I mean, you're going to treat him the same as you would any of the others. So the idea that you're now reviewing his independent ARCI record as a reason for the suspension, my best argument for that would be there's a dozen other guys out there right now who have more medication positives on their ARCI than him. So if you're going to suspend him for it, you'll have to go get them too.
Okay, we'll take all that under advisement.
All right. Now, I think that I'm going to have to go back to that, but the other part that gets us down to the Remington Park disclosure. Now, let's I need to set some of that aside for a minute. I pulled up a minute ago from 78 to some odd place. Violet Smith rode $2 million worth of horses, $2 million worth of purses, and was a professional athlete at many different tracks and served the sport. And I make that example because, when Pinky was riding, her license was really important, and she couldn't compete without it. And I mean, I'm certain that she felt that it was precious, and that any adversity to the license that keeps her from making a living would just be a troubling, horrible situation in her life. Similarly, in this proceeding here today, and I'm just using the board as an example. Not any of you. Hypothetically, a board member could be summarily suspended for improper conduct and have a right to a hearing with the commission. And I, in all fairness, if that were to occur, I just know that the individual racing official would really take this thing serious. They'd be really concerned with making it appear that they're doing everything they can to be fair. And in this instance, you have a situation that Mr. Valdivia is just like a racing steward. He's just like a professional athlete. He's just like a doctor and he's just like an engineer. This is no different than a doctor losing a doctor licensed in New Mexico and Oklahoma, who lives in Albuquerque, has his practices at Hillcrest Hospital down the street from my house. He gets in a spat with Hillcrest and he no longer has privileges with Hillcrest. Well, his license is still good with the state of Oklahoma. He just can't practice at that hospital. Now imagine, what if the New Mexico board of the medical board, what if they looked at that scenario and they just decided that, well, doctor made his triannual application and he failed to say that thing about the hospital because he failed to list the exclusion of the hospital, even though the hospital is not an entity who can exact discipline against him. That would only be a medical jurisdiction, Oklahoma. And in that instance, New Mexico would be taking the doctor's license because of something that happened at Hillcrest that's completely arbitrary and happened, most importantly, by an entity who has no authority to act. It would be as if the medical board were making a finding that the Hillcrest Hospital is an entity of the state of Oklahoma. It's not. All right. And I mean, now this is where I really need to get. I know each of you can understand my concern about the purported dispute over racing jurisdiction. I know that you can. It's my, and let me be very honest, it's my position that if someone like us, a industry participant who values their character and reputation, I don't think it's my position that a person wouldn't go out in the public and say or suggest that Remington Park was a racing jurisdiction on fear of appearing naive. No offense, okay? But I mean, I just want to frame the issue for us, because my best argument isn't, well, that's the way everybody says it. That is the way everybody says it. 100% of everyone thinks that and refers to racing jurisdiction as a state or ISI, except here. And the reason that's so critical is, what's even more important is New Mexico rules define it that way. It defines racing jurisdiction as a state. It says it many times in the definition, right in the simulcast section. It's clear as a bell. It references racing jurisdiction as a state. And then the other provision, it says that a racetrack is an association. It distinguishes the two completely. Now let's look at ARCI, because we've relied on their judgment for years. ARCI, they find that a racing jurisdiction is a state racing jurisdiction. I'll show you the ARCI web page where they list racing jurisdictions, and they list Oklahoma, New Mexico, Texas, Louisiana, HEWU, and any other state that has authorization to conduct parimutuel racing jurisdictions. They don't list Remington Park for that reason. Now, you can understand how Valdivia and myself, we might be a little bit flabbergasted about that. So I've tried to reach down and understand, because I've not been around. Other gentlemen maybe haven't known as well. I've had cases with Pinky for a long time. I absolutely respect her character as a racing official and as a professional athlete. And if she takes a position that Remington Park is an Oklahoma racing jurisdiction, I want to address that head on and be able to be able to try to persuade you that my side of it is right, and that by adopting the definition of Remington Park as a racing jurisdiction, all I've effectively done is find the guy to be suspended. Now, let's say that, and there was a Sunland Derby in spring of 2023. And Bob Baffert, the face of horse racing, he entered a horse in the Summer Derby and ran a horse. So we know that he made application for New Mexico license. We know that he would have been presented with the same questions that Mr. Valdivia was. We know that when he reviewed the questions about whether or not he'd been excluded by any racing jurisdiction, that he would have been in the same position as Mr. Valdivia, because it's very common knowledge across the world that Churchill Downs racetrack association, non-jurisdiction, private entity, they've excluded Bob Baffert just the same way that Remington Park has excluded Sammy. But yet Bob holds a Kentucky license where Churchill is situated. Sammy holds an Oklahoma license where Remington Park is situated. And I think that's the best way to look at it, okay? We know that the HEWU and the New Mexico definition say it's an entity who has the authority to act, has jurisdiction to enforce law. Remington Park can't enforce law. You know, Churchill Downs can't enforce law. How do we know that? Well, because they're not an agency of the state, and Kentucky says that Baffert's license is good. He can go run at Turfway or Red Mile, you know, just like Sammy could go run at just like Sammy could compete at other racetracks in Oklahoma based on his holding his Oklahoma license. Now, all right, I know it's a lot of detail on that, but is there any other way? Is there something else I could say to persuade you? I'd almost like to have a situation where we could question answer. You know, if I could somehow, could you tell me, you know, what else do I need to show in order to persuade you that a state is a racing jurisdiction? And because I feel like that me and my longtime colleague, Violet Smith, I think we have certainly have a scholarly disagreement over this, but I think that if we look to the black letter law of New Mexico, the United States, and ARCI, that we can come to the simple conclusion that Remington Park's not a racing jurisdiction, and therefore he would not be required to exclude that. And it's unfortunately as simple as that. And I know that we have different feelings about it, but if you were, try this, if we were to assume that since he is licensed in Oklahoma and since Baffert's licensed in Kentucky, can we just presume that no jurisdiction who has the capacity to enforce laws is mad at Sammy? None of them are. Just like none of them are mad at Bob. They're not. And since that's the situation, it can't be a racing jurisdiction. And I appreciate your time on that. I wish there was something else I could offer if I could try to get us together. If you had any questions, I'd love to entertain them. I understand Indiana's out. You know, Larry clarified that he was just reciting stuff from before, and what we're going on is the 1-2 that Pinky and I said, failure to disclose and independent review of ARCI. Now, independent review of ARCI could not possibly be a legitimate reason because his ARCI hasn't changed since December 2023 when he made this application. When you were duty bound in December 2023 to review his ARCI record, like Larry said, we do it every time. We review the record to determine if the person's qualified. And in this instance, in December of 2023, you would have reviewed his ARCI and determined he was qualified, and that's why you issued the license. Now, here we are today, and the suggestion is that, that there's something on his ARCI record now that would cause him to be ineligible for licensure. A very simple argument there is nothing has changed. There is no other adverse action on his ARCI between December 2023, when you approved the license, and today. So it could not be a valid, the ARCI itself could not be a valid reason. And then secondly, we haven't been told how it is that his ARCI record would be objectionable when we know there's all those other people out there on the track right now whose record would be much more spotted than his. Hey, I appreciate your time, but let me just turn to this. It's really, really big deal that he spent all that time. Not too many people have the world-class ability to train horses and get them ready for the Triple Crown Series in Ruidoso. Put yourself in his shoes. He contracted with owners to get those horses ready, get them paid in, and go enter them in the Ruidoso, Rainbow, and All-American. And then suddenly he got out there and he got summarily suspended on a mistake. But we all agree it was a mistake. The Indiana thing showed that to be something different. And now today, when it comes right down to it, Mr. Valdivia is being denied the opportunity to exercise his license and run his world-class horses at Ruidoso Downs because the board has concluded as a matter of law that Remington Park is a racing jurisdiction. That's where we are. If we could see the mistake in that finding, we could get all the way around to the idea that Bob Baffert's not suspended in New Mexico. Nobody's challenging Bob Baffert's license. Nobody's going to challenge Bob Baffert's license. And Bob Baffert, just like Sammy, was not obligated to disclose Churchill, like Sammy wasn't obligated to disclose Remington. So they're on both fair to disclose and independent review. There's just not, respectfully, there's not any credible evidence, clear and convincing evidence of a rule violation. That he needs help now. If you let him back up this afternoon, he can go train for the Rainbow, but it's going to be late. He's going to need to go now. And that's why I talk about the urgency. It really is urgent. I mean, it is just urgent beyond belief. And that's why we objected to continuance and got here today. But, in fairness, we have defined the reasons. And so we're having a clear evidentiary hearing. I'm sorry we got continued today, but here we are. I'm asking you, set personal feelings aside, look at the rules, get inside that guy's heart and see where he is. He hasn't done anything wrong. He certainly doesn't deserve to be summarily suspended. At a minimum, just let him back up this afternoon and then deliberate on whether or not there's been a rule violation. You could just find right now, based on the undisputed evidence, that there's been no rule violation, and that'll get it. That gets him back up right then. But I would please address these issues in that manner. Look at it with an eye toward lifting the summary suspension as soon as possible, so the damages that he's sustaining every single day can stop, and he can get out there with his horses and his owners that he promised to work for. And I appreciate your time today.
Okay, thank you.
Larry, you might just let Rhonda and Sammy offer whatever they want on evidence. I firmly believe that you've heard everything that's relevant, so I don't need to question them. But to the extent that you want to ask questions, feel free.
Okay, go ahead.
Thank you.
Okay, first off, what is the document that Mr. Waxler held up earlier? Because we don't have that document, never seen that before.
Yeah, can you send that to him? That is an exclusion letter from Remington Park.
Well, it's not signed, though.
That's right.
It couldn't possibly be admitted into evidence because it's not signed.
Okay,
This is an exclusion letter from Remington Park.
okay,
What you showed on screen looks nothing like this.
okay.
This is what Remington Park gave. Can you
All
read
right.
it?
No, not really, to be honest with you.
But I emailed it to you.
When
The
were
Remington
you in
Park?
possession
It's
of
the one
that?
you got that one recently, right? I mean, you come up, come,
Last year, Matt.
I
made
have not been
this
accepting
last-
anything from her because she has got counsel and we were advised not to, which you've seen the email and everything, but let me see if,
John's
let me see if it's anything. John, it was never sent
John's
over.
emails. But this,
April 1st, 2022.
yes. Now,
well-
on the application, it says Oklahoma 2022.
Yeah, the Ruidoso application, New Mexico.
So it cannot be falsified. It cannot be failed or withheld. Now, I'm not trying to be, I'm speaking on behalf of my husband, okay? Now, on the license application, section 4, prior licensure, that second line down, B, have you ever held a horse racing license in any other racing jurisdiction? Yes, and got the states on there. Okay, C, has your license ever been suspended, denied, revoked, or is any complaint pending against you in any racing jurisdiction? There's no pending complaint against him. So there's no lying or falsifying or failure to disclose. On there is Oklahoma 2019 clenbuterol, 2022 drug violation, Oklahoma. Anything older than that is very, very old, and it is all on file with Oklahoma. Anything he ever had would have been in Oklahoma
Over 20 years.
over 20 years ago. Okay, now if that's referring to a racetrack, and I'm just asking you this, just okay, as a mind to mind. Okay, if we were supposed to disclose Remington Park on that question
Or Indiana.
or Indiana, why on question D on the application you say, have you ever been expelled, rejected, or denied privileges by any New Mexico racetrack? If that's the same meaning, why would you have it 2 different times?
That's the way they wrote up the license application. One is being here and one's being
Yeah.
somewhere else.
I think
So
what she's saying, Larry, I think what she's saying is,
I
that-
understand what she's saying.
yeah, the, you know, the inference from the language, if you were to read in good faith, if you were going to interpret the plain language, you would see that they make it abundantly clear that if they want you to identify exclusions from racetracks, if it's La Mesa Park, Ruidoso Downs, Sunray, Albuquerque, but not anything outside New Mexico. And that's,
No.
you know,
No, you didn't ask if it was excluded from Remington Park or from Oklahoma racetrack. But if on question C, it says, I mean, any jurisdiction. So if New Mexico viewed a racetrack as a jurisdiction, they wouldn't ask it on another question specifically. And
excellent point.
okay, then in
May I
regards-
say something there just for clarification? When it says denied the privileges of the grounds, denied means exclusion.
Yes, ma'am, but you'll see the words that modify
Okay,
those.
but
The
ma'am,
words that
in
modify are obvious. It says excluded by a racing jurisdiction. So, I mean,
A
there's no,
And I'm going, I just need to clarify. Any association has to be licensed by
He
the
was-
state. Let me finish. Has to be licensed by the state, and they are under the jurisdiction of those racing commissions. Any
I-
association. And
I stipulated-
that's what we go by as a jurisdiction, because the Oklahoma Racing Commission, the New Mexico Racing Commission, they all have to be under their jurisdiction.
Yes, ma'am, and he received a ruling from the Oklahoma Horse Racing Commission for the 2022 violation. And he gave 1 year and a suspension and a $10,000 fine. And that was all paid and his license restored last year in March of 2023.
So you're saying he never was excluded from Remington Park?
I never said that. We did not know he was excluded from Remington Park until they told us they wouldn't take his entries. But Remington
following
Park
year.
is not a jurisdiction. They are a
Okay.
racetrack, as
That
Ms.
is your definition. It's not. I
What
don't
is the
believe
difference,
it would
Richard?
be
Okay,
ours.
ma'am, on the trainer's
and
test,
We
On
probably
the
don't,
test that I just took, I had 2 questions that I specifically got right. And it was they asked about a jurisdiction. It asked who was a racing official in the current jurisdiction. Okay, that was, I specifically named Steward David Moore. I got that question right. And then it asked me what jurisdiction was administering this test. That was the Oklahoma Horse Racing Commission, not Will Rogers Downs. If I had put Will Rogers Downs, I would have missed it.
Or Remington Park.
Or Remington Park, right?
Well,
And
Sir,
I mean,
Is
okay,
there-
you're gonna do
can
what
you-
you're gonna do, but I mean, I'm right, aren't I?
I'm not gonna agree to that, but I don't know what some other jurisdiction has on their trainer's test. I don't know what they define it. I'm just explaining to you.
Okay, well, we're
What-
from Oklahoma, and every time that we speak to Matt Vance, the general manager of Remington Park, that is his call and his decision, not the racing commission. Okay, every time we talk to David Moore or Dr. Chansey or the stewards at the other racetracks, they tell us that Remington Park is their own. They have the right to choose who they want to do business with, just as Walmart or Easy Mart. They can't tell
Absolutely,
them. So
absolutely. I agree with that.
if Remington Park says Sammy can run there, he can run there. If they say he can't go there. But he still can go to Will Rogers. He still can go to Fair Meadows. They had no problem. He ran horses at Tulsa last summer, which was 2023.
I run horse this
He
year.
won the speed horse futurity. It's in magazines. Okay. He ran horses at Will Rogers in the fall.
This year, I run
He
with
ran a
Will
horse
Rogers.
in May in Will Rogers.
I want to say one little thing, and I promise you I won't say nothing else. Just one little thing. The deal in Indiana, the reason I never fix it because I honest to God
Didn't know it.
didn't know it and I didn't want to go back. Ever since you people bring it up, they waiting for me tomorrow. They're supposed to be over there tomorrow to eat with the manager. He sent me a letter. He's in the committee. The police, the security guard that escorted me out, I finally got a hold of him. He's in the committee and he sent me a letter. Say, Sammy, come on, we're gonna go eat. No, I gotta say it. And that's fine. You know what? They come on, Sammy, you run horses here. We give you license, and I got to take 5 head over there, which I'm going to stay. Probably not. I'm going to just turn to somebody else. Anyway, that's one. And another thing in Remington, you know what, Miss Pinky, and one thing you learn about me, I ain't going to lie to you. I ain't going to lie to nobody. But I'm going to tell you, I just don't feel like I want to go to Remington just yet. I just don't feel like it. I'd rather stay here home and send the horses and let them run it. I know I can fix the Indiana deal, and that's what I told the Rex, the stallman. I fixed this today. Sure enough, they made a mistake, and I'm sorry. Come on, we're going to take you to eat for that mistake. Blah, blah, blah. Remington, maybe next year I feel like it, and I got some thoroughbreds here that I think they're good enough to go to Remington, but I don't feel like I want to go. I just don't feel like I want to go yet. I don't care what Matt Vance do. You know what? I used to love his daddy. When Remington went first permission, his daddy, David, come to the barn, sat on my barn, because he had a kid, and then I let him ride my pony horse. And and he used to like that. But I just don't feel like I need to go to Remington this year, and I don't care what they do. You know what? But I promise you, mark my words, I'll be there next year.
But
I'm done.
on the application, because what this all stemmed from was you guys feel like he lied on the application, and you tried to use Indiana, and that, I know that's all squashed and that's gone, but just remember and keep in mind that notice from Indiana was mailed July 10th, and you have that all in emails. So anything from Caesars, he could not, nor I have known any of that ever existed, never had been back to Indiana, never received anything that's dated July 29th, when the only thing we ever got and says that it was mailed on July 10th. So anything on July 29th, so there was no way. And you see, once that it was brought to attention, it was rectified. If we had known about it, we would have had it taken care of in 2020, obviously.
Question for you, ma'am. Did you know about your exclusion from Oklahoma, Remington
No.
Park?
In 2022, the only exclusion that would have been known at that time was his OHRC ruling exclusion. Now on that's the only thing that has been known to Sammy or I, that is an exclusion of a jurisdiction.
When we went in 23, they told us no.
And we didn't even get this. And my daughter was with me when we met with Matt Vance because they wouldn't take his entries or accept the stall application. So we began phone calls to Matt and met with Matt, and that's when he gave me this. And I have a year's worth of text
Can you read that to us? Can you read that?
It says, Remington Park, April 1, 2022. Remington Park exclusion. There's nothing signed, and it says, Mr. Valdivia, this letter is to inform you that you have been permanently excluded from all Remington Park property. I am obligated to inform you that trespassing charges may be filed against you if you return to any portion of Remington Park property. If you feel this ban is in error, you may write a letter to the Director of Security stating why you believe this ban should be lifted. Sincerely, Director of Security, Remington Park Racing Casino. And it has no person's name whatsoever on it.
I know, but you received that, and you received that, ma'am. Let me finish. You received that, ma'am. You received that in 22, correct?
No, sir, no,
And-
ma'am. No, ma'am.
Well, when did you, they,
2020.
I'm sorry, when?
We received it in 2023.
Oh, 23, April of
It's dated
23,
22. No, March 23.
March of 23. Okay, and that was prior to you making application in the
Yes.
state of New Mexico. So you
Yes.
did know about the
We
exclusion.
knew about Remington Park, yes, ma'am. But that license application on New Mexico doesn't ask for that. There's no line for that.
Well, I think that's just interpretation of a question, and that's probably for us to decipher. And, but denied privileges would be, to me, underneath that. But that's just my interpretation of the question.
Then can you explain to me why there would be a separate question on the license application that asks for specifically New Mexico racetrack? Wouldn't that have been covered up there in C also?
I don't make the applications, ma'am. We just review them. I'm sorry. We don't make up the questions.
So how are
But
we as applicants supposed to
fairly, right?
properly answer?
Well,
We're not a
like I
racing steward to interpret those differently.
it's pretty clear. Has your license ever been suspended, denied,
His license,
denied?
but Remington Park is not denying his license.
He
If they're not
denied.
denying his license, he's not licensed through Remington Park.
There's no denial, Pink.
He's,
A complaint.
There's no
or,
denial.
you didn't let me even finish reading the question.
That happens. In life.
Okay, denied, revoked, or any complaint pending against you
In any
in
racing
any
jurisdiction.
racing jurisdiction. Well, that's apples and oranges for me, for you guys' interpretation. They cannot be an association and run under the jurisdiction of a racing commission without a license. So they are
Right,
under their jurisdiction. So
No.
that's
How
just
does it
another
make
thing for
jurisdiction?
definition.
You just
You
said
guys are
they're-
talking over me, and I'm trying to finish a sentence.
Okay, so-
A jurisdiction might be your interpretation. Association cannot have a license unless they're under the jurisdiction of the racing commission, which is a state commission. So that's our interpretation. That's
No,
all
but-
I'm saying.
A racing
Okay.
jurisdiction.
On the
I'm
next,
not gonna argue with you, ma'am.
Well, if we could, I think, Pinky, what we could do is if we could help why it is, like you said on the second hearing that, maybe it's the first hearing, that y'all would be moving from Sunray to Ruidoso. And when you did, you said you'd be moving from one jurisdiction to another. And maybe I could focus in on that because
You've already
trying to
talked
understand
about
why you're-
that,
Can
Mr.
I finish?
Hayes.
Did I finish?
Yes, sir. Yes,
Okay.
sir.
I'm trying to understand why this board's definition of racing jurisdiction is different than the jurisdiction given by, or than the definition given by the New Mexico rules, the federal government, and the Association of Racing Commissioners International. I just need to understand, if I could understand why you think that an organizational licensee, that we agree, why it is that could also be a racing jurisdiction. I don't understand.
Mr. Hayes, I'd like to get in here. So 1647-18 L specifically, give me a second here.
Take time.
G, we're talking about grounds for disciplinary measures for licensee refusal, denial, suspension, or revocation of a license. And I'm looking at G. Has been or is currently excluded from association grounds by a recognized racing jurisdiction.
Uh-huh.
Now, a
It said-
jurisdiction and an association is under the umbrella of a jurisdiction.
You know, Jeff, we're
They're
saying,
governed by a commission,
yeah, we're
and it's
saying
in
the
our
same-
rule book. So I'm not sure what your argument is here.
Okay, I think in order to reach that conclusion, you have to be intellectually dishonest. Okay, I don't know what else to say. You're just being intellectually dishonest. You're trying to say that racetrack is a racing jurisdiction, even though you admit that the racetrack only operates with a license from the racing jurisdiction.
I'm not saying that. You're putting words in my mouth. We
No,
are
I'm
an
not.
association. This
Describing your position.
racetrack is an association.
We've got the 3 people in the racing in all of the United States who think that Remington Park is a racing jurisdiction. No one else
I didn't
does.
say that. I said it's an association. It's governed by a jurisdiction.
Do you not
Okay,
think, sir?
but the jurisdiction of Remington Park is Oklahoma.
Okay.
Jeff,
Okay, we're just
Yeah.
going in circles here. We're just going in
Yeah.
circles here.
let's look at, please, Larry. Jeff, do you agree, sir, that the rule language should be read in its plain meaning? You do. I'm not trying to, I know you do, okay? Now, when it says excluded by an association, excluded from what it by, and then it's modified by racing jurisdiction, you have to look at all the words, because ultimately, that what it's saying is racing jurisdiction doing the adverse action, not the racetrack. And if that's going to be the holdup in getting the guy,
That's part of it here, but
you won't stand in front of the district court and testify that Remington Park's a racing jurisdiction when all the other people in the industry will say it won't. I mean, I'm suggesting, I don't think you'll do that. And if you won't do that, don't do it
you're
here.
putting words in my mouth.
And I read that, not to interrupt, but I read that rule to this Mr. Hayes and his party multiple times in the summary suspension.
Okay, but do you not
And-
agree that those words
And
have,
he read it again.
should the rule language be read together? Should it be interpreted by its plain meaning? The law says it should. You know, do you just pick out little parts? No, that nobody does that. It says that on the end, the rule that you read, sir, it modifies that the action has to be taken by a racing jurisdiction. It's an absolutely necessary part of the sentence. It can't be changed up. And when it can't be changed up, it is unreasonable to reach the conclusion that it says exclusion by an association out of the state of New Mexico. It's just unreasonable. And I wish I could persuade you to at least explain to me how, I mean, there hasn't been an explanation yet as to how that could be an actual legitimate finding. You said that because the commission has jurisdiction over a racetrack, that a racetrack is a racing jurisdiction. And in all fairness, that's illogical.
Can I ask a
You're-
question?
You're putting those words out there, and what you're dissecting this, and you're saying that it's modified, but it's clear to me, and we can disagree on this, it's clear to me, it says has been or is currently excluded from association grounds by racing jurisdiction. Now, that's clear to me, and
it's
it's not
not.
modified.
He's not excluded from the association grounds of Remington Park by the Racing Commission. He's excluded by,
Okay, we're going to take this under advisement. Let's move on because we're running in circles here.
Let me-
Mr. Hayes, do you have anything else you want to put out there?
Thank you, sir. In the rule language, Jeff, you agree it says by racing jurisdiction? And wouldn't you agree that if it says by racing jurisdiction, then that's got to mean that it's that it's being done by a racing jurisdiction? And it can't mean that it's being done by somebody else, because it makes it very clear that it's being done by a racing jurisdiction.
So noted.
How could we then extrapolate it being exclusion from an association on its own? That would be.
One more
And
little
then,
thing.
and let me say this, Jeff, if you and I are having a legitimate,
Horse in the ground.
argument or a legitimate disagreement about the interpretation of the rule language, I'll stand on that. If you're willing to say that you think that sentence means that he has to answer on that application, he has to provide a exclusion from a non-New Mexico track, then I'll accept that. That'll be the dispute.
Let me say one thing, and my lawyer is going to be mad, my wife's going to be mad, and the whole world is going to be mad. But at this point, if you guys don't put no record on me, I don't want no record. I don't want nothing. I'm giving my word that if I ever have to go somewhere that I got to cross New Mexico, I will go 500 miles around. I will not come to run horses to Ruidoso. I will not come run horses anywhere. Yes, you know what I'm saying? I don't want you suspended. How can you say it? Take a license,
just withdraw it.
withdraw my license from you guys and get this done. You know what? The stewards here, I talked to several of the stewards here. I don't care. You know what? I'm done. I talked to some of the stewards here and they welcome me here. They welcome me in Indiana. They welcome me anywhere else. If you guys don't welcome me, I don't feel like I want to go. So for that reason, I throw that out there to you if you consider that.
We'll take that under advisement. Mr.
Thank you.
Hayes, is there anything else?
Well,
I would like to know what other trainers are excluded from other tracks or.
Mr. Hayes, will you please, do you have anything else?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I would ask that you deliberate on the summary suspension and find that there's not a public danger at this point. Even presumably, if he did not, since he didn't put the Remington matter on there, you could, Pinky and Jeff and yourself, Larry, you could, just like you're finding it, interpreting it in the way that you think it is, you could also find it be reasonable that Sammy didn't put it on there. Baffert didn't put it on there, and you're not going to summarily suspend him. Okay, I'm sorry. That's how it is. Bob didn't put Churchill Downs, and you're not taking action against Bob. And Bob's not actually. Bob is Hispanic, but doesn't make any difference. That is.
Bob isn't
noted.
applying for a license or carrying a license in New Mexico.
Okay, if there's not anything else, Pinky or Jeff, do you have anything else to put in there?
I
Bob
don't.
Becker
The
kind of
case,
wants
the
to
case
make
in
the
front of us is Mr. Valdivia, not
Right.
anybody else.
Right.
But our other,
So now,
I would like to
are
add
other
that
trainers licensed that are, you guys, is there no other trainers licensed by New Mexico that are excluded from other racetracks?
this hearing is for your husband, not other people. So
Yes, I understand
this is
that.
this case. So let's move on. Mr. Hayes, do you have anything? Okay, Jeff, you had something. Go
I'm
ahead.
just gonna finish,
My argument.
I'd like to finish my statement here. So what we're taking into consideration are several of the parts of section L in 1647-1-8, and it's not just, you've been notified for this, so
No, you keep saying
E,
that.
F, G, H, and I. And that's
What's
what
that
we
mean?
have to take into consideration here.
So what's that mean? So what are you trying to say?
You want me to read all those? I
No.
mean, you've had time
No.
to go over it and look at it.
Why does it matter?
Yeah, they're on your notice.
Okay.
We're not just looking at one thing, we're looking at several, so.
What all
What
things are you
symbol?
looking at? What all are you
What
looking at?
is it? This is what we're doing
Just
again
give me
now.
the-
If
What
you
all are you looking at?
This is what you need to discuss with your lawyer. What is it? So you've been noticed. The rules and the sections that we're looking at are on the notice.
What are you mad about, though? I mean,
And all
what are the
ruling
things-
history.
Well, okay, thank you.
They're
Thank
not
you,
mad,
sir.
Johnny. They just don't want him to run. It's not them, it's somebody
Can you-
Well,
else.
okay, let's move along. This is getting out of hand. So,
Hey.
Mr. Hayes,
Which
will you
part
please make
is
your
that?
final statement and then we'll go and deliberate.
Which part of his ARCI do you find objectionable?
What was that again?
Asking Jeff, he was, Jeff and I were going back to the reasons and because that's very important. And I just asked him to frame for me what the specifics, what he was
Okay.
finding.
Okay,
on
I'll give you the,
Sammy's-
I will give you the
that was-
specifics.
Thank you.
Okay. So we have to consider the grounds of measures for license or refusal or denial. And we're looking at section L. D, has failed to disclose or falsely states any information required in the application. F, has been found to have made false or misleading statements to the commission, stewards, or any racing official. G, has been or is currently excluded from association grounds by recognized jurisdiction. H, has had a license denied, suspended, or revoked by any racing jurisdiction. I, is a person whose conduct or reputation may adversely reflect on the honesty and integrity of horse racing or interfere with the orderly conduct of a race meeting. Interfere with the orderly conduct of a race meeting shall include but not limited to disruptive or intemperate behavior or behavior which exposes others to dangers anywhere on the racetrack grounds. The fact that the race meet was not actually interrupted is not a defense to the imposition or discipline under this rule. We have to take all those into consideration.
Pinky has stated unequivocally that items on the ARCI are part of the collection of evidence upon which you are relying in this proceeding. So I'm just asking you, Jeff, tell me, because I'm entitled to know, what on his ARCI, I see you'll introduce it into that. What is it on his ARCI that the board finds objectionable that would be enough to deny or show a rule violation? Well, actually, that's not right. What things on the ARCI do you contend should lend toward a denial?
What has changed on the ARCI since?
Okay, let's go on with this. Jeff, do you have anything else to say? We're going in circles. This has already been taken.
Wait a minute.
We
No.
already talked about this in the other hearings and it keeps on going. It's being the same thing over and over. Let's just go ahead and move on with this hearing. And we do not want to hear from Miss Rhonda anymore. Mr. Hayes, please give us your closing argument and then we will go deliberate.
Okay. Remington Park is not a racing jurisdiction, so he can't be denied for failure to disclose. You didn't do it to Bob Baffert, so you can't do it to Sammy Valdivia. It's that simple.
Duly noted.
On ARCI, you haven't told me, you haven't said one word about items in the ARCI record that you find objectionable. Because I've argued over and over, there's a bunch of white guys out there on the track right now that have more medication violations in the period of time than this man does, but yet you're relying on his to deny the application. And
Duly noted.
You didn't, hold on.
But
Can
John,
you, please, Rhonda, can you just articulate for me, Larry? What is it about the ARCI record that you today find objectionable?
We've already went over this.
Yes,
No.
we have. We already went over it. Duly
No.
noted. Please move on. We already went over this.
Larry,
Please
a
move forward
closing
with your closing.
statement.
Please move forward
We're
with
not-
your closing argument. If you got anything else, please move forward. We are going in circles and all this. All this has been covered. Do you have anything new to ask that hasn't been covered?
No, I'll just say that as a matter of law, what's happening now is under color of state law, you're discriminating against that Hispanic man. That's what you're
Okay,
doing.
duly noted.
You're
Duly noted.
John,
You can talk over me. You're discriminating against that Hispanic man because you're treating him differently than you do non-Hispanic trainers who are similarly situated in several
That's-
regards. Number one,
Duly
That's a
noted.
racist allegation. And
may I
I'm not racist in any way.
Okay,
No.
let's move on. You got anything else to
Um,
say, Mr. Hayes? If not, we are going into deliberation. We are not going to go through all
Was
this.
her-
Let's go.
race,
what
But my-
changed from the
my-
ARC
my-
license
very, very
application, Johnny?
important. my
Okay, at
word-
this time, let's go ahead. We're going to conclude this hearing. We are going to go into deliberation and we will be getting back to you all on that. Thank you very much. Okay, Jeff, go ahead and stop the recording.
Hold down.
We will give you guys a phone call because we're going to deliberate. Thank you.